Hello everyone, my name is Wayne.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we are your Bourbon Journey. So a little over a week ago, we went to dinner, I think it was on a Thursday night, and up at our local place called Archie and Clyde. It's a local restaurant here in Newburgh, Indiana. And the owner of the place, Adam, is a huge bourbon drinker. Adam, he saw us in there, and knowing now that we are bourbon drinkers, he came over to talk to us, and he was carrying a bottle of the Penelope Wheated. And he wanted to see if we were interested in it, and we told him we'd already tried it and we'd actually reviewed it. And
then we thought it was a great buy.
Yeah, and that was it, and I still maintain that, we both do, that for the price it is a great buy. So he said, well, I have something else. So he walked back and he comes out with this bottle. And we're like, Orphan Barrels. Ooh, because the first Orphan Barrel experience we had was at Stitzel Weller with a muckety muck that they didn't have. And so we ended up seeking it out and finding it. And he said, I'm going to call up and see if I can get a hold of another one for you.
Because he only got one in.
Yeah. And if you are interested in it. And we said, shamalama ding dong, yeah. So he went ahead and made a call.
And it was just like, maybe 36 hours later, I get a text message from someone that works there who had my phone number, and she's like, Adam has this if you want it. I'm like, yes, we will be in tomorrow and we will pay cash for it. So we were pretty excited.
And he got it at MSRP for us, which was great. I mean, we don't get a whole lot of perks of doing this yet. People aren't sending us things yet. But when somebody has an opportunity and they know we're fans, this is the best he can do. And he was happy to do it. And also that we want to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
And we'll remind him about this so he can see this, that we're reviewing it, because we really appreciate the fact that he did this.
Great. I mean, he's been really super helpful in our journey, and we go in there at least once a week. So we were talking to Adam that the next day we were heading out to Louisville. Actually, we were going to Northern Kentucky, but we were going to stop in Louisville first to see if Bardstown tasting room had the Cathedral. And he got so excited. He said he had tried to buy a bottle off his friend. And I said, I'll tell you what, we will sell you exactly what we pay for. We will not try to jack you in any way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, we got there and they didn't have anything that day. So we were very sad because we really wanted to be able to do that for ourselves as well as Adam. So
fun fact that we were in Louisville for a total of 7 minutes.
7 minutes to exit, and then we headed to Kentucky Artisan. But that was the whole reason we stopped in Louisville, was hoping to get the Cathedral, because we are, as you can see on our shelf, we're massive Bardstown fans, and we just can't imagine not having it in our collection. But anyway, I'll try not to cry about that too much.
We will get it.
Hopefully someday. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's talk about this bottle a little bit and what it entails.
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
It's pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah.
So the name of this is influenced by the untamed spirit of Kentucky's bourbon Heartland. It's a 17-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey that embodies the elusive yet daring nature of its namesake, the bobcat. Represented by the watchful lone bobcat that silently prowls the outskirts of the bluegrass state distilleries, this extraordinary Fanged Pursuit emerges after only years of patient, undisturbed maturation in charred American oak barrels. The bobcat's stealthy, deliberate movements reflect the aging process of this bourbon, unfolding with deliberate, measured precision and a deep connection to its surroundings to reach its fullest potential. Just as sightings of the bobcat are rare, appearing only at dawn or dusk, Fanged Pursuit is a once-in-a-lifetime bourbon, crafted for a single release, never to be made again. And we have heard this is the only time they have released a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. So this company is Diageo. It's sourced from an undisclosed Kentucky distillery. There's been some guesstimates on the mash bill, and I don't know who came up with the guesstimates, but they are between 68 and 74% corn, 18 and 22% rye, and 8 to 10% malted barley. I'm guessing that guessed mash bill comes from what is typical in the state of Kentucky for a rye mash bill. It is aged 17 years. The proof is 92. It was released just in February of 2025. We did acquire this, as we said, at Archie and Clyde's restaurant in Newburgh, Indiana, for the MSRP of $200. So we're thrilled to have this bottle. We're thrilled to taste it, and we hope it's living up to the Bobcat's name.
Yep. I definitely am. I'm really excited about this because this is the first time. I have to wonder where they got it.
Yeah.
And it's got to be, at that age, that eliminates a lot of your craft.
Oh, yeah.
And it has to be one of the old boys.
One of the big ones. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people would get this bottle and not drink it. And I think that's one of the reasons Adam was willing to get it for us. He knew we would open it up and review it and drink it and enjoy it. And I just really think, I mean, this is probably going to be a collector's item. It's probably already on the secondary market for 10 times what we paid for it. But that's not what we're about. We're about really embracing the spirits that are made and enjoying them and sharing them with you.
Absolutely.
So let's take a gander at it. So the color, while it may look lighter here on the camera, is before the lights were on, it is absolutely a darker amber, almost a mahogany color. And that's likely from the 17 years in this barrel. And it's got some terrific legs forming. It's giving me some hope for a great mouthfeel. I want to stick my nose in it now.
All right.
Oh my goodness, this smells so good.
Yeah.
You can smell some oak on it. Not in a bad way.
Confectionery sugar.
Some spice. You do know this. The mash bill has to have some rye in it.
Yeah.
We've had so many wheaters lately. It's kind of nice to have a rye mash bill. It's got some, I would say, cherries. And I'm not getting caramel. I'm getting more of a vanilla, I think. It's almost like
I buy cherry.
Like a cherries jubilee with, you know, the vanilla ice cream on it. I haven't even tasted it yet. I'm excited. To the bobcat.
Wow. Well, she be old.
Yeah.
There be barrel there, and it ain't bad.
Yeah, it's not like it's overly drying or tannic, but you've got the oak notes just playing so well with those cherries, and some cinnamon notes too, I do believe.
We did a review of another whiskey recently that is several years younger than this that had a lot more barrel than this.
It was very tannic. Yeah,
it was. And this is
not a drying kind of oak.
Yeah.
It's just like a really pleasant. Whoever the distillery was knew how to age and knew when to say it was ready. I wish there was a secret club you could find out who actually made these things.
So as somebody who really, this year has been really good, and there's been a lot of things that we've tried that I have really, really liked.
Me too.
Which I'm happy about, because otherwise I don't want to be spending money on bottles and be like, oh, this is just a waste.
Or knowing that they're never going to go away because we're not going to drink them. So.
I mean, I'll say this isn't for everybody. This is a flavor profile that I believe fits us completely. The oak is right where it needs to be. I agree there is cherry. I want to have a little fun with this since you're tasting it. And in case there are people out there that are watching this that maybe have had it and tried it, fun little game. As we're drinking this, let's try to make a guess who we think in Kentucky, because it has to be Kentucky. Who in Kentucky might have made this barrel?
Well, I do get a slight nuttiness, but it's not really peanut. So my first instinct was Jim Beam. And the reason I say Jim Beam is because it doesn't have the peanut. And they do have a lot of older barrels right now because we know that because they've been releasing some really old, their Bardstown collection last year was pretty old, and their granddad is old, and they've been releasing some really old barrels. So we know they have a bunch. And this may not fit their profile, which might be why they released it to Diageo. But it still has some Jim Beam notes as far as the mash bill is concerned for me. It just doesn't, and it has a slight nuttiness, but not peanut.
You were probably right, but I'm going to give a different guess, even though it's not a Diageo product. There are things that remind me of Buffalo Trace in this. We haven't had a whole lot of older Buffalo Trace, but you mentioned cherry.
Yeah, cherry is very Buffalo Trace.
And I've gotten cherry in this, and I would almost wonder if this is something that might have been going toward a pappy and maybe oak too fast. I know that a lot of the older pappies are really, really, really oak forward. I'm giving an opposite to you. My gut, after what you said, is it probably is bean. So I'm going to go with, I believe it's Buffalo Trace.
So I have a second guess based on the opportunity we had to try something last Sunday. It has, and it was a small taste, but it has notes of the buffalo turkey.
Well,
and I know that's taken a different one, but it's like, if you've heard the story, there at one time when they were doing some remodeling and some things like that, they were afraid they weren't going to be able to keep up production. They asked Buffalo Trace to do some distilling for them. They followed their mash bill, but they did not share their yeast with them, obviously, because it's proprietary. And then it came back and aged at Wild Turkey, but then the folks at Wild Turkey said it doesn't taste enough like Wild Turkey, obviously because of that yeast, right? So they've been selling those barrels off, and I'm just wondering if Diageo bought one of those.
Well, it's funny because I went with the whole Buffalo Trace theory
because of the cherries.
Because of the cherries, and
but it has some of those earthy notes of Wild Turkey.
Gobble gobble.
I'm just saying, we don't know, but because we got to taste that, it was at Wenzel Whiskey, by the way, that they have a barrel of that. So we got to taste it, and it had a lot of cherry notes, and it had the earthy notes from Wild Turkey. That's as far as I'm going with the game. But I gave two guesses, and I feel like my second one's closer.
That could be. That could be.
Bottom line, I really like it.
Would you buy it again?
I would.
I would too.
I would. And actually, we saw one. They had it at High Spirits just the other day. We were there yesterday for $250. So it's $50 more, which isn't bad.
Mm.
You know, it's just $50 over the MSRP. I might even consider getting a backup bottle of it at this point because I do really like it, and because it's such a rarity.
It is. It's very good. It is very, very good, and it's unique. And now, like I said, I'm really scratching my head now with what you said, because the Buffalo Turkeys have started to hit the market with a lot of different distilleries having one-offs. Supposedly Augusta has one. Old Louisville has access to one. There's a few other places that have them, and they're different. The one we had was very cherry forward.
Yeah.
And
the one we tried at Wenzel.
Yeah. So this is a really good bottle, and
I think we haven't talked about the finish at all.
Well, let's go ahead and do that.
We're starting to run out, but I think it has a medium to long finish. It's not as long as I anticipated it would be, but it's very pleasant. It's got a lot of char notes. It's got a lot of tobacco notes, maybe a hint of leather. It's definitely pulling the age on the finish from my perspective.
I get tobacco in the back, you know, and
I get tobacco being carried in a nice leather case. So.
It's very good. It's very different, and this is not something for everybody.
No, because if you don't like an aged whiskey, this probably wouldn't be in your wheelhouse, just because you have to kind of like that barrel note.
Yes, and
because it's not overly sweet. There's not a lot of sweet notes, although it has the cherry. I think it's more dominant for being full and oak, and the sweet notes from the oak and things like that. So if you like a really sweeter bourbon or a really fruity bourbon, this might not be for you. Although it has the cherry notes, which I think are balancing the age quite well.
So I'm going to lift up my pretty much empty glass.
Yeah, We may have to have another pour when this is over.
Yeah, so this is 2 Orphan Barrels. And this bottle that we don't know where it came from, we kind of think we might, I don't know. Cheers, because it's a good one. Adam, thank you again for getting this for us. We really appreciate it. Hope all of you have a great day. And if you like us, please subscribe. And always remember to drink responsibly. Cheers.
Cheers.